200 people that died this year in Orange County without permanent, healthy, safe, and secure places to go home.
Hello, my name is Tim Houchin, and I am the founder and executive director of Hope for Restoration. You are watching the first of several special presentations created in recognition of National Homeless Persons Memorial Day, which occurs every year on December 21st. Now, our purpose is to create community awareness and to promote a more collaborative effort within our communities in order to facilitate solutions to end homelessness. Since 2014, Hope for Restoration has organized an event held on National Homeless Persons Memorial Day called The Longest Night. The traditional event features an interfaith memorial service and candlelight vigil for those persons that died that year without permanent, healthy, safe, and secure places to call home. The current pandemic has caused us to retract from our traditional public memorial service. Hope for Restoration has partnered with the Women Drivers Interfaith Group of Orange County to bring you a virtual presentation of The Longest Night that will air on December 21st at 7. The program you are watching and several more of a series will air on December 21st as well, all day beginning at 1 o'clock, and will run until the 7 p.m. Longest Night premiere. We will have details on how you can view this year's event coming up in our broadcast today. On today's program, we will share information regarding events that we will be broadcasting on December 21st. We have a special music presentation from BJ Peace, and coming up next, a special guest will tell us what they're doing in Bakersfield, Kern County to end homelessness. Our special guest today is currently the executive director of Flood Bakersfield Ministries in Kern County. But before he worked there, he was our Continuum of Care manager in Orange County. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Jim, and tell us what it is that you've been doing these days.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm Jim Wheeler, of course, and I am the executive director of Flood Bakersfield Ministries up in Bakersfield, Kern County. I run a nonprofit organization that provides services to people experiencing homelessness throughout Kern County. We do several things. Our primary operation is in street outreach. I like to tell people we're sort of the city net of Bakersfield, Kern County. That's sort of we do similar things that city net does. We are the only organization really, other than a health medical outreach team through Clinica Sierra Vista. We're the only organization really doing street outreach. And we have 8,200 square miles in Kern County. We have desert, we have farmland, we have mountains, and so we cover all of those areas. We have teams out in the rural areas that go out every day doing street outreach, and also in Metro Bakersfield. And then we also provide housing and case management for people who've been matched to housing. We work with them and help them navigate through the process to find a landlord, to make sure that they can get their security deposit, that they can do all the things they need to do to get into their housing. And then once they're housed, we have a relationship and a contract with the Housing Authority of the County of Kern. They're a great partner. And we provide supportive services to those folks who have been housed through our Continuum of Care funding sources.
Now, ever since you left Orange County, I've been keeping an eye on Bakersfield, Kern County, and it seems that big things are happening there and that you're playing a major role in some of the changes that are taking place. Are you not?
When things are a little different here as far as the Continuum of Care and the Homeless Collaborative is concerned, whereas in Orange County, I think that Orange County is very blessed in the fact that the county and many of the cities have been at the table for a long time. It's really important to have our governmental agencies at the table when addressing homelessness, because it takes all of us to work together, right? It can't just be the nonprofits, can't be the faith-based community. It can't be just citizen volunteers. We have to have the public at the table too, the public institutions. And so in Bakersfield, Kern, it's always been different. The city of Bakersfield and the county of Kern have always sort of taken a back seat to the homeless collaborative and the continuum of care, and they, peripherally have been at the table. And when I came back, we started having meetings about doing something different, right? And so over the course of the last year and a half, we've created a separate nonprofit that serves as the collaborative applicant for the continuum of care. It's called the Bakersfield Kern Regional Homeless Collaborative. And it's very well, it's set up similar to the San Diego Regional Task Force on homelessness. But the best thing about it is that the county of Kern and the city of Bakersfield, which are the two main public institutions in Kern County, they are at the table. And not only are they at the table to help make decisions, but they are invested in what we're doing financially. So they're providing financial support to the BKRHC. And it's very exciting because we've made a lot of progress. So I serve on what's called the executive board of the collaborative. There's a 9-member executive board, which is made up of the city manager for the city of Bakersfield and the assistant city manager, the county CAO for the county of Kern. We have a public hospital in Kern County, which I don't believe there's one in Orange County. And so we have the CEO of the public hospital on the board, and then 4 homeless service providers, and I'm one of those 4 homeless service providers. So we kind of oversee the financial aspects of the continuum of care and the homeless collaborative and what's going on and how resources are being spent. And then we get reports from the governing board. There's a separate CoC governing board, but the executive board is the overall arching board for the collaborative. And again, the bottom line and the best thing about it is that we have the county and the city at the table, which has been really helpful.
How is the way that the Bakersfield Kern County CoC addresses homelessness similar to the way we are addressing homelessness with Orange County's CoC?
So it's similar in some ways. The executive board would be similar to the current commissioned in homelessness, except for it has more authority over the governing board. But the governing board is still there in existence and is made up of people that provide services to those experiencing homelessness.
Jim, one thing that is on everyone's mind as we prepare to recognize National Homeless Persons Memorial Day is the high numbers of homeless deaths that are being experienced by jurisdictions across the state. What has the situation been like there in Bakersfield, Kern County?
We have a smaller population of people experiencing homelessness. I think your last point in time count was over 6,000. In Orange County. Here in Bakersfield, Kern, it was about 1,500. And so that death number, is smaller. I don't have the exact number. We actually have been working with our coroner to start collecting that data. It hadn't been collected in the past. And so the BKRHC and other organizations like some of our elected officials have reached out to the coroner. But I can tell you that every week, we have people who are on the streets and experiencing unsheltered homelessness that passed away. Just recently, for example, we had one of our clients who we still don't know all the details, but he had been sleeping in the drive-through of a restaurant, and somebody came through the drive-through and didn't see him and ran him over, and he passed away, unfortunately. And we have people who are hit by vehicles all the time. Not too long ago, we were called out to sidewalk in downtown Bakersfield. A gentleman was laying there. He had passed out and gone to sleep, and he passed in his sleep. So every week we are having people who are homeless that are passing away. So I would estimate our numbers are probably under 100, but still that's under 100 too many, right?
Exactly. I was following a news story a couple of months ago about a housing summit that was taking place there in Kern County for a couple of years. The summit focuses on educating landlords, and some are saying that the summit has been creating more opportunities for persons experiencing homelessness there to become housed. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that has worked?
The summit, I don't think, is unique to Bakersfield Kern, but I do think that it's been very successful, and I would encourage communities across the country to look at the model that we've implemented. We have a group, it's called IPAC, and it's a group of landlords and property owners, and they actually were the sponsor of the event. They partnered with our continuum of care, and it was really successful. I think the first one we had over 60 landlords come forward to volunteer properties. You know, one of the things that is going to be an issue for the foreseeable future everywhere in California is our lack of housing resources, right? Our housing stock is not what it needs to be. So those housing resources are very valuable. And we're thankful for the relationship we have with the landlords in the community. We continue to reach out. And we had, I think we had a virtual one not too long ago in September. And we are, you know, COVID has changed everything, as you know. That's why we're talking right now over Zoom instead of in person. But we're making the best of it. And once we get through this, we'll be back out and recruiting landlords again, because we just need them. We need them to help us to move people off the street. Right now, our inflow of people flowing into homelessness is exceeding the amount of people that are outflowing into housing. And so I suspect that's probably how it is everywhere. But we were making progress. And we had actually reduced, in Bakersfield Kern, we had actually reduced our unsheltered homeless count by 50%. And we were on our way down. We're actually at functional zero for chronic homelessness. And so, you know, there's a lot of efforts going on, but we need more housing. And the housing summit was a big part of how we were able to get our chronic homeless population down to near zero.
There's been a mixed bag of discussion on the success, and in some cases a lack of success, with both Project Roomkey and Project Homekey. What has your experience been with both programs?
Unfortunately, we had two separate Project Roomkey projects ready to go, and they were shot down by NIMBYism. We had one hotel selected, and we had the project up and running. We had the funding. We actually had the support of the county, but it was inside the city of Bakersfield. They required us to go through this whole permitting process, which we were able to go through. We went to the zoning board, and they approved it. But then when it went to the city council, there was a local hospital that was nearby, and they have a lot of clout. And they opposed and appealed the decision to the city council, and then city council backed the hospital. So we don't have an overt Project Roomkey, but we are taking the resources that were that were allocated for Project Roomkey, and we're sort of doing something under the radar, not illegal or anything like that, but just it's more of an individual project for each agency. And so we're able to take that list of people that we had identified that were at risk of COVID, and we're working just behind the scenes to get those folks off the street. And our CoC is committed to prioritize those folks in our coordinated entry system, so that when a housing resource becomes available, they get first priority on a housing resource. Whereas we were faced lots of NIMBYism on Project Roomkey, Project Homekey, the housing authority in the county of Kern was awarded funding for Project Homekey, and actually they have already purchased 2 hotels, and they're refurbishing them for permanent supportive housing. Very excited about that process, and I think that the city has some extra funding. They have what's called Measure N funding, and so much of it has to be set aside for homelessness. And so the city council has set aside, I think, $5 million for permanent supportive housing. And so between the city and the county, the funding that comes from the state through the county, they've also identified several other potential motels that can be converted to permanent supportive housing. So I'm very hopeful about that. And, we'll take any type of housing we can get. We just need more housing and more places for people to go.
All right, Jim, is there anything that you would like to say to your old friends in Orange County, knowing that they miss you and your corny dad jokes? You did bring a couple of corny dad jokes with you today, right?
Boy, I'd have to think about that one. I've been so focused on all the stuff going on that my corny dad joke supply has pretty much run out. But I will say that I miss all my colleagues in Orange County. I still keep in touch with lots of them, and we communicate. One of the things that, Mercy House has come up to Bakersfield to run our new navigation center, a really nice navigation center. And so I've had a chance to reconnect with folks from Mercy House. And I have my colleagues at the county that I still stay in touch with. And then some of my colleagues from the continuum of care, like Liz Andrade and Juanita at the county. I mean, I love all of those folks, Karen Williams at 211 and Don Price. Those folks are the best people, and they have a heart to help people. Sometimes it gets a little messy because of the politics of everything, but I respect them greatly. And my experience in Orange County was really meaningful. It's helped me to become the person I am today. I think it's made me a better boss. Dylan and Samantha at OCCR, Jason Austin at Healthcare Agency. Those folks are really good folks. And it was a pleasure and honor to work with them. And then getting to meet people like you, Tim, people who have come a long way. You're an inspiration to other people. And I just appreciate you so much and appreciate your willingness to dive in and to make a difference. So I applaud you for that.
Thanks, Jim. And thank you for spending some time with us today. We have been speaking with Jim Wheeler. He's the Executive Director of Flood Bakersfield Ministries and formerly our manager of the Orange County Continuum of Care. All right, we still have more for you today. Coming up is a new song from BJ Peace and Kevin Reardon. And I have to tell you that if you like heartfelt country music, then you're going to love hearing their song, and it's called Invisible. That's going to be coming up right after this short message.
Hey, Tim, this is BJ Peace. I just want to say thank you so much for considering our song "Invisible" for your awesome program with the homeless. And I'm a songwriter, and I've been writing songs for about 15 years. Originally from California, retired Special Forces Sergeant Major, and I was out visiting relatives in California and saw all the homeless out there, and it really hit my heart heavy. And I sat down when I got home that night and wrote the song "Invisible," and but hadn't got it in the title for it until I got back to my home in Florida. And I was talking to my son, and I said, it's terrible that the way these people are treated out there. And he goes, I know, it's almost like they're invisible. So that kind of sat with me. I tweaked the song a little bit, wrote it, did a work tape demo on it, sent it to a songwriter friend of mine, Kevin Reardon. Asked Kevin what he thought about the song, and he said, I love it, man. It's a heartfelt song, and but a couple of things you could do here and there. So Kevin came on board as a co-writer, which I was glad to have happen. So when we did "Invisible," it was really something special for both of us. And again, you've got a great cause going there. God bless those folks, and God bless people like you that's trying to do something about it. And thanks so much, and have a great day.
Do you know her? Where did she come from? What's her story? They all have one. What about him? A string of bad luck, or nowhere to turn when hard times struck. An old rucksack from Vietnam holds all he owns. That old cart she's pushing, she calls her home. Living under bridges, sleeping anywhere at night, homeless, invisible, out of sight.
right, that will wrap it up for this broadcast, the first of several like it that are purposed to increase community awareness surrounding National Homeless Persons Memorial Day, coming up on December 21st. Now, don't forget about the Orange County virtual presentation of the longest night at 7 p.m. on December 21st. And then, of course, all day long before that longest night broadcast, we will air this segment and all the remaining series episodes on Facebook prior to that 7 o'clock premiere of the longest night. Well, we'll see you all later, and thank you very much for viewing. Please tune in next time.
Did she come from? What's her story? They all have one. What about him? A string of bad luck, or nowhere to turn when hard times struck. An old rucksack from Vietnam holds all he owns. That old cart she's pushing, she calls her home. Living under bridges, sleeping in